Come on. As one Crookshank, your one and only Move Swiftly speaker, checking in for a daily Move Swiftly thought, giving you a perspective on teamwork that you will not get anywhere else. First and foremost, season's greetings. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas. Everyone out there recording this, December 25th, 2004. As you can see, over here in the Move Swiftly world, we don't take days off. Not about that days off life. This is what we do. When you do what you love, there's no need for it because it doesn't feel like work. It's just what you do daily Move Swiftly thought. Not a weekly, not a monthly, not a yearly, a daily Move Swiftly thought, regardless of the day. We're not taking no damn days off. Let's go. All right, so let's get into some current events, because recently there was a bit of a dispute, call it a dispute if that's what you want to call it, between the great Kirk Herbstreit, face of college football, voice of college football, and the great Stephen A. Smith, the face of ESPN, and the primary, the loudest voice, probably the most prominent voices of my time in regards to sports media and things of that nature. Has run the #1 sports show in the country for years. First Take, in my opinion, you got to give him credit for all of the podcast style format that we have today, because he started off with, quite frankly, and you see what has grown from then. So I'm going to give him credit on that front. And so recently what happened was there was a situation during the Ohio State and Tennessee game in which Kirk Herbstreit mentioned the show First Take, and he said, look, I figured they had Ryan Day fired a couple weeks ago when they first did their reaction to the Michigan loss and all that. And then Stephen A came back at him to say, hey, no, that was me. That was the First Take. That was me. And he owned it and all that kind of stuff. And he started giving his 2 cents about how, when you're the Ohio State coach, you got to win that game. A bunch of stuff that he's heard in the media. Again, Kirk Herbstreit, and just so you guys are clear how qualified I am to speak on this, I read both their books. All right, I read Kirk Herbstreit's Out of the Pocket, and I've read Stephen A's Straight Shooter biography. Both of them incredible stories, incredible inspirations to me as a person that's doing the work I do. I was incredibly inspired by Herbstreit's book. In fact, I quoted him in my latest book, Transferring D1, and I was just as inspired when I read Stephen A's book. So both of them, in my opinion, have just great resume, great people to look up to. However, having said all that, and stop listening to Stephen A when it comes to football. It's a former football player, the person that has done a lot of football takes throughout the past couple years, and knows the game, played the game, scouted the game, coached the game, been a part of the game since I was 7 years old. You gotta stop. If you want to actually know football, you just gotta stop listening to his football takes. And then in this situation, I don't necessarily blame him per se. I blame ESPN for putting him in a situation where he's the face of it, and people now, I think his voice has gotten so big and so loud, his brand and his name has gotten so loud, that he's just spitting off a bunch of stats, and he's saying this and saying whatever is going to get him the clicks and whatever is going to make him sound like he knows what he's talking about. In fact, he's alluded to that on several interviews that I've heard him go on other people's show. Let's say he's talking about soccer, or let's say he's talking about baseball. He will call someone who knows what they're talking about, and he will say to them, hey, I just want to give me some facts that sounds like I know what I'm talking about when I'm on TV. And this is the same case, okay? Because, and I'm going to get to Shannon Sharpe in a second, but when it comes to Kirk Herbstreit and his take on the Ohio State position and Ryan Day and all that, you got to understand, this is also a guy who played his football. His family is from Ohio State. He has a connection to the school in which him and Ryan Day are friends. And when someone is attacking his friend the way they're attacking him, when he's, again, overall, and I even said this as a Michigan fan. I'm a diehard Michigan fan. I even said it the next day. I said, look, I'm not going to be the typical fan that's going to shit on Ryan Day over this, because I knew what Michigan's strengths were. Michigan's strengths were that D-line, and when they couldn't run the ball on us, that's when everything went out of whack. They played into our one strength, the one chance that we had of winning that game was to keep the game in a low-scoring situation, and we couldn't give up the big play, which we didn't. Now, if Stephen A comes on TV and says some things like that, okay, then you listen to him, but that's not what he's saying. All he's saying is the general points that that everyone is spitting out, that you're a lunatic fan that Kirk Herbstreit was referring to when he made that statement. He's just saying those points. He's repeating those talking points so he can continue to build his fandom, and ESPN could get more views and more likes and more people agreeing with him, which is a mistake because you're doing it at the expense of a human being. Ryan Day is a human being. Okay, he has a wife, he has kids, he has people getting death threats. Now I think the news came out in which he's now had to have security for his kids to go to school and all that kind of shit for a football game. It's because of people like Stephen A who are in their position and all they're doing is spitting off the same talking points. So long story short is when it comes to the football takes, stop listening to Stephen A. If you want to actually know the game and be involved with the game, stop listening to Stephen A. All the other stuff like the basketball stuff, maybe some of his views politically and social justice and maybe some of that, I believe he is very fair on that front. But when it comes to his football stuff, just stop. All right, I got to take Kirk Herbstreit's side on this one. Now let's get on to Shannon Sharpe and his reaction to it. I thought Shannon Sharpe's reaction to the whole Kirk Herbstreit thing, and now I know he came out and he cleared it up on his podcast, but I thought it was incredibly childish. You know, I'm a Shannon Sharpe fan. I grew up in Silver Spring, Maryland, so I watched the Baltimore Ravens run. I watched when he came from Denver to Baltimore and the difference he made in the Ravens offense. I've seen him go from, player to now broadcaster, and some of the things that he's done from a race baiting standpoint and the stance he took when it came to, I think it was what was his name? The tackle, the white boy from the Miami Dolphins who played offensive line, and he dropped the N-bomb. He said the N-word. I remember when Shannon Sharpe went off about that, and I started, respecting his ability to speak on race issues and speak on issues that extended beyond the game of football and how we're looked at in this world. Incognito, that was it. Richie Incognito. When Richie Incognito was going through his bullying thing and admitted to say the N-word and all that kind of stuff, I remember all of that. So I've seen Shannon Sharpe grow a great deal in the broadcast world, and for him to take what Kirk Herbstreit said that personally, it's absolutely sad. It's a sad thing, because now I think he's getting too emotional over something that just didn't concern him. It just didn't concern him. Okay, understand, you've played the game, you know exactly what it's like if somebody's going to talk about your university, if somebody was going to go at your university a certain way. Obviously you haven't played at a school like Ohio State that has a great deal of pride and tradition in their program, and you get people talking on TV like they've been a part of it, like they know what's going on. You should, of all people, understand why he would maybe have a take that really wasn't even that bad. If you look at what Kirk Fowler and Kirk Herbstreit said, it really isn't that bad, and that was probably the most disappointing thing, is that Shannon Sharpe took the stance of he's attacking Shannon Sharpe. That's not what he was doing. He was simply defending his university and defending his friend during a time in which they got a really, really big win for their university and for the program and for everybody that's been involved and had to hear the stuff. That's what it's about. So as we enter into this new year, into this new world that we're in, where everything is public and you have your option of who you're going to listen to, make sure you're just doing it with the right people, understanding that people are going to change, and the people behind these screens, regardless of how big their platform is, at the end of the day, they're people, and they have their own feelings, their own opinions, and they have some merit. They have merit based on what they've actually lived through, and that's how they got into the position that they're in. All right. So all that being said, again, season's greetings, happy holidays, enjoy loved ones. I got a lot coming out. There's a lot to get through between now and next week to the New Year's. I got a trip to Tampa that I'm planning in the next couple of days. So we got a lot to get to. All right. All that being said, main website to check out is makeyourmove.com. That's MakeYamove.com. One-stop shop for your teamwork and your self-development needs. As one, Crookshank, your one and only Move Swiftly speaker, checking out. You guys continue to move swiftly. We will talk more soon.